welcome to another episode of TA Tech Unboxed, the only podcast that's speaking to the people behind the tools that are used in the TA and HR communities every day. If you are listening to this, check the link in description because we are making sure that we get a demo from everybody that comes on the show. So check, make sure you check that out and don't forget to subscribe. My name's Chris Haslam and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Darren Bush. Mr. Darren Bush, how are you?
Very well, Chris. Very well. And very excited about today's episode.
Me too.
Yeah.
Why are you excited?
Mainly because I've had several conversations with the individual who we can't name until she comes on. And I also want to call out another female founder as well. So we've been speaking about this. We've been asking about, can we have more female founders? Can we reach out to more? And if you know, and if you're listening to this as well, please let us know. We want to have more diversity in our interviews and our podcasts.
The subject today is going to revolve around sourcing.
Yeah,
so
I'm
going to ask you, because we argued about
that's not fair, because I think we're pre-call. We agreed that I was going to ask you, but anyway, go for it. Yeah,
we can both answer this question.
Yeah, let's go for it.
What is to you the definition of great sourcing?
Of great sourcing?
Great sourcing. What does it look like?
So it's not, for me, it's storytelling is one. Yeah, it's the ability to convey your attraction strategy and what's in it for the individual. Understanding about the person you're reaching out to. And then when you get to the specifics, it's about how you can actually find these people as well. How good are you at understanding the requirements of the manager, relaying that, and building kind of a mental map of where you need to go and find and search these people. And then when you do, writing good outreach messages. It'll be, naming Robin Choi here, who we did a great piece on that, right? Reaching out to them, connecting with people, and then offering something and telling the story as well about why they should come and join you. So that was just off the cuff.
We don't prepare for these just little intro bit, by the way, guys.
No, we don't.
I'm
don't.
Literally catching Darren off guard here. Like I think you nailed that in the sense that you went for how we're going to do it first. It's not like I can't stand the conversation around sourcing being really narrowed in on Boolean. But I love that you've gone like message quality, right? It's like, I remembered the post you asked me for. It was about the metrics that an SDR tracks. And I was reading this post and I was like, message quality, number of messages sent, like all these really great metrics. I was like, this is sourcing. An SDR is just a really good sourcer. Take the persona, take the documentation, deploy it, build a talent pool, understand the persona, write great messaging, build a cadence that you think they'll engage with, get them on call, be super engaging, convert them to the next stage, right? That to me is great sourcing.
Yeah.
You talked about a lot of other stuff, conveying the messaging that I totally agree with you with. But I agree. It's a tough thing to define, because I think a lot of recruiters see it as a low level skill.
In the agency world, it is definitely. It used to be. Maybe not so much now, but yeah, it used to be. But I think just to hit the nail on the head, it's a kind of a Swiss Army knife. Really, you got to have a number of different tools there to be a great sourcer.
You've got to be a copywriter. Yeah. You've got to have energy. You've got to be a researcher. I mean, a lot of teams start to break out these things, right? Particularly if you look at a sales org, an early top of funnel sales orgs, you're starting to see now sales ops.
Yeah.
Or RevOps, I think it's called. And those teams building up very similarly to recruitment teams, right? Like a right person that writes messages, person that does research, a person that does enrichment, a person that does that runs the areas, the person that takes the calls. I think there's a little bit of a difference between SDR and AE as a handoff, but it's really similar. It's how we work here at Move as well. We've been trying to perfect this little system. So fascinating world. And Darren, who do we have on today's show?
Today, Chris, we've got a special guest. She's the queen of controversy, also known as the Duracell Bunny. Right. She's Miss Woman of the moment within TA. And she's also, I would say, queen of the Yellow Trainers Brigade. And we have Gabi Preston-Phypers here.
You're in
I
for
could
it.
put on as well, by the way, that list, we was building it and building it after like our little conversation. But Gabby, great to have you on here. For the people, obviously, the few people don't know about you, do you want to give us a little intro about yourself?
Of course. So, congratulations on saying my surname correctly. That is a massive tick. Most people are like, what? We'll stop at the Preston bit because it's only a bit massive. So, I've got a bit of a weird background, just to kind of lay the land a little bit, because people are like, are you a recruiter or a trainer? What do you kind of do? And my background, actually, I started my career in investment banking at JP Morgan in back office, moved to middle office, then moved to front office, selling operational outsourcing of all the random things. And then I kind of got to that point, I was like, it's just a bit too easy. And I'm that nutter who likes being pushed that little bit extra mile. So I then jumped out of that, went into a SaaS startup and thought, you know what, I can do something like this. And then my husband owned a recruitment business and jumped into that as the ops director, kind of went in, cleaned up the business, tripled his revenue, and then sat there and went, finding candidates is really painful. But it actually is the bit that really fundamentally is the most important bit, because if that isn't right, none of this stuff really works. And I went, well, how can we fix a problem? How can we make it easier to find candidates, but really see true talent pools rather than what just platforms are vomiting us up first? So we kind of sat there, looked at the market and went, we can do better. We have been the other side. We know what's working. We are such geeks by nature. And in that thought, we kind of created Tooled Up Raccoons, which I'm now the proud co-founder of with my husband, which again makes me slightly deranged that we do it together. But we've been running that company now for 3 years, which is all very exciting.
Congratulations.
On which bit?
For all of it. For all of it. Surviving investment banking. And then thank you for choosing recruiting. There aren't many people that go that way.
No, they don't. To be fair, I don't know whether that's people are like bankers, Windows salespeople, recruiters, in whatever order of pecking that you want to not like them.
In career path.
It's like, no, don't like bankers, don't like Windows salespeople, and don't like recruiters. Awesome. Okay, let's just follow that. That's a good
There's not money in investment banking, though. So I think they're all right.
They didn't really care, to be fair. But to be honest, that was one of the things that made it the hardest to leave. But in actual fact, I'm so glad I did, because the journey we've been on and the people I work with now are just so passionate about being the best they can be to help service their company that they support and service the talent that's out there that really, really deserves to be in the right spot. So actually, I'd give up what I did over there in a heartbeat to be this side of the pond.
Found purpose.
Exactly. And I think every company founder needs that purpose. And I think anyone who works within an organization needs to have that same purpose. Otherwise, you're in the wrong place.
I think you have more of a community as well now. I mean, that's what I definitely, from what, the people you're speaking to and the people you interact with, which I don't think you'll get probably in the banking side. Yeah. The community you've created is pretty amazing.
And you've certainly highlighted a lot of issues with the workflow that I think I'd say, hang on, get control of the show, Chris. I said I'd make a gag about this, so I'm going to do it. When we prepped this, guys, for any listener who doesn't already know Gabi PP, the prep show could have been the prep call for this show could have been a show. The pre-recording of this show that we just did was 20 minutes long. We could have made 4 shours out of this. We could have made a movie. So what we agreed was, because Darren has something to do this evening, we're gonna time. We're gonna time ourselves. I'm gonna be Mr. Police on this. The only reason I'm doing this is because at 45 minutes, we're also concerned about making sure our listeners, can come in and have some fun, but also to make sure at 45 minutes we ask you 2 questions that we ask everybody that comes on this show. So we want to make sure we get out some of that stuff, because for some reason I think that's what everyone's here for. So we always start off, don't we, digging into your background a little bit, and we don't want to spend too long in this area, but we're super interested. So the investment banking stuff, I assume you learn loads of really interesting things about that world, and I'm sure there's stuff you've taken from that that's like,
Do you know what's interesting? So my career was the investment banking piece, obviously, and Mitch went straight into a recruitment business, and then within a couple of years started his own business. What was really interesting, some of the biggest things I took from my time in investment banking is how to play chess. Not physically, but the game of corporate chess, right?
Talking internal or dealing with clients?
Both. So I used to look after our top 25 hedge funds in EMEA. So it was a really big role. I did lots of migrations for them when we had regulatory change. I interacted with businesses, well, elements of JP Morgan all around the globe, different departments, different teams. I was basically, if there was a problem, I came in and went, which Muppet did it? How do we get short, medium, long-term resolutions? But obviously, on paper, taking action is very, very simple. Very simple because it's logical. Everything has logic to it when it comes to solving a problem. The bit that makes it illogical is the people you're interacting with and the different games they're playing depending on their seniority, depending on promotions, depending on cultural differences.
Right.
So actually my time at JP Morgan really gave me the most incredible foundation in understanding that when you walk into a room, being able to identify very, very quickly which game is being played and how to maneuver it where you don't cause more mischief, but you actually kind of bring them back together to have better cohesion. Therefore, you can all move forward. So actually, that was agnostic of the role, whether it was my back office. Like back office, I was only there for 9 months. And to be honest with you, I was only there because I got told I didn't go to the right university and I wasn't smart enough to go to front office. So Gabi being Gabi went, watch me. And in 8 years, got promoted to kind of my VP, moved all the way to front office. But it was, each of those lessons was about talking to people, looking at problems, resolving those problems, but doing it in a way that was meaningful for everyone so that we all went, let's go forward, rather than being like, you've got someone in the corner being like chewing bricks, being like, that wasn't what I wanted. It's like, okay, we're always going to have them, but how do we minimize it? And it's one of the biggest fundamental lessons I learned that's changed my career.
You are the wolf
of Wall Street. No, I'm not.
I'm talking the wolf from Tarantino's Pulp Fiction.
I had gladiators as well in my mind because
And I got that statement went straight twice.
didn't it? Amazing. I quite like ours and Gabby's, by the way. That was good.
You know what? Funny enough, you dinged me earlier, Darren, on Slack, and I said, "Pretty please," with a cherry on top. Clean the car. I'm not going to swear, but there's a swear word in the middle of that sentence. I sent that to you earlier on, and you just completely went past it, and I was like, "Oh, that was wasted." That was such a waste. So you're the wolf from sorry, not Wolf of Wall Street. You're the wolf from Pulp Fiction.
There we go.
In JP Morgan.
Yeah.
You didn't go to a SaaS company. Is that Vena?
Yeah.
Vena Solutions, and you're a sales manager there.
Yeah, so I was the first UK sales rep that they brought in.
Pow.
So I was, for a couple of years before I left JP Morgan, I was on that cusp of being like, I just want to get out of this. It's not my vibe. It's not fulfilling me. And the moment I realized was when I got my VP, the first thing I said to my managing director was, what do I need to do to get my ED? He was like, Gabi, the ink isn't even dry yet. What are you doing? And I was like, actually, I need to get out. But I didn't know what to do with myself because that had been my career. And I was like, what do I do with these skills I've created? And this opportunity came up to go and join this SaaS company as their first UK sales rep and just go out and try and establish a business. And it was one of the most exciting, daunting experiences I think I've ever done, because I went from being on a trading floor with 1,000 people with a huge infrastructure at my beck and call. Money was no real object. You could do whatever you wanted.
A brand.
Yeah, and a brand. Like literally, if you said, oh, I'm JP Morgan, everyone went, oh my gosh, you're JP Morgan. And that does give you that weight in the marketplace. And then I went to Vena, and you kind of walk into a meeting and people are like, who the hell are you? And you know what was really, really funny is I absolutely loved my job. I never followed the rules ever. So I remember one of my managers turned around to me and was like, when did you learn how? Yeah, I know. Kind of, you can see why I run my own business now. I don't think I'd be very good. But I remember him saying to me, when did you learn to sell? Because I was selling. I was making the company money, but I wasn't selling, like following their rules, and they couldn't comprehend what was going on. And I looked at him and went, I've never been taught how to sell, but what I do innately know how to do is build relationships. When you build a relationship of trust and respect, conversations become open. I mean, I remember our conversation, Darren, the first time we spoke about Tooled Up Raccoons, it was a very open conversation. It was like, this is the lay of the land. And for me, that is what enabled me to build those relationships. But also with Vena, I learned very, very quickly that I'm one of those people that if I'm in a room and I'm pitching a product and I'm sitting there going, this isn't right for you, I'll say it out loud. And I remember my manager cringing, being like, you can't say that. And I was like, I can,
They respect you more for saying that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, you want to say it piques their curiosity because you're saying no, this is not right for you, and they're like, I was thinking that, but actually, why are you saying that now? And you potentially could change that. Well, can you explain what Venner is and what they do?
So Venner was an accounting software platform.
Yeah.
So like your
Planning.
Planning.
Okay.
And you can imagine me in a group of accountants.
I mean, perfect.
It
You into accountancy. You missed that bit out. Okay, so you're on banking, accountancy, and now recruitment.
I just went there.
There's law next to it, surely, isn't there?
Oh my gosh, I actually think I'm insane. It's like when life gets easy, you know what? Just make it really difficult. But it was. That's what that taught me. I learned that actually by not conforming, because they had all the scripts and things you should say and how you should pitch it, and they were like, you don't need to know behind the tech because we have tech engineers that would do that. And I'm like, I want to know. I don't want to follow the script. I want to have a conversation human to human. And it worked. But the problem obviously for them is it wasn't scalable because you can't make a me and me. And I don't think
it's really difficult, like being the salesperson here, right? It's really difficult to show a team of people how to build relationships with others. I can show them how to write an email. I can write a framework for how to put an email together. I can write a script, but is it you pitching it? And that's the training that's really difficult. And when you're in a seat to sell, you've also got to sell. You will put money on the board, right? You've got to put money on the board, and where do you take the time? So that's a tough role, but I'm seeing it now. It's all coming into
how we ended up here.
Where you're at. Oscar Harrington is your partner's recruitment agency?
Yeah, it's my husband's recruitment business. So he joined Match Tech when he left university. Was one of those guys, bless him, he was just like, I'm applying for jobs, it's just not landing. Like most people say about recruitment. Walked into Match Tech and they were like, you're a geek, you can build relationships, fill your boots. So he did that for a couple of years and then was like, do you know what? I want to do it myself. And of course we're very much that relationship, whereas like if someone wants to go for something, we're like, go, run at it, see what happens. If it doesn't work, doesn't work. If it does, let's keep going. So he started that back in 2013. So he kept that business, specialized in mobile robotics by the end of it. Very, very technical recruiter. Absolutely loved what he did. Again, building those relationships with his clients, with his candidates. And that was how he did what he was good at. But obviously, when I came in and looked at it operationally, joys of my JP Morgan days, I kind of went, you're doing what everyone else is doing because that's all you know, because that's what Match Tech taught you. That's what your colleagues are talking about.
Really common.
I came in and went, I don't get it. I don't come from a recruiting background, but I don't get why you've got A, B, C, D pieces of tech when you're this size doing this. I was like, let's delete because you're wasting time. Let's cull. And it was like, actually, all of a sudden he was making money. And then it was like, and now we can really focus in on the bits that hurt, that are still something you have to do, but it's not something you can solution with tech right now. How do we overcome it? And that's where this kind of brainchild came from when we just sat there and went, let's do it. Let's fix candidate discovery once and for all.
So is that the founding story here?
That's the founding story. That's how that journey all connected and how both our worlds kind of went from being very, very separate to suddenly being like, actually,
take together, solve the
skills and knowledge you possess and skills and knowledge I possess.
What I'm really, really noticing about doing this show is we're meeting, there are two types of people that build, or two types of founding like stories here, right, Darren? There are those that are coming from deep recruiting backgrounds, which I'm going to put you in that bucket a little bit because you've been in the system a bit and sitting in other systems. And then there are people from outside that don't see it working. There's two clear buckets. I don't know if we'll ever meet another version. I don't know whether that's a realization that I should have already known, but it seems like you've come from that. And it feels to me like those that have come from seeing the pain and feeling the pain, which I think is kind of everyone in that system. If you think about Syl at MetaView, he had a pain point as a hiring manager, wanted to fix it. Or Michael Blakely from Equitas and his interviewing experience and seeing that being broken. Like that, to me, is what is building the most robust products in the space. And you're feeling that, do you? Like, I assume you guys... Oscar Harrington still exists?
No, what we did, weirdly enough, when we launched Tooled Up Raccoons, it was at a point where I was pregnant with our second daughter. We were moving house, and actually, Mitch and I both said to try and juggle both with everything going on in life would only result in us doing a disservice to someone. So very much client first. We rang every single one of our clients. We spoke through what we were doing, the journey we were going on, and we said, look, could we put a pause on this and kind of see where Raccoons goes? If it doesn't work, or we get capacity, we'll come back, but we won't come back until we know we have capacity to service your account at the level it deserves to be looked after. And every single client went, go hell for leather at it.
What type of recruiting? Did you mention that, or did I miss
So mobile robotics, so autonomous vehicle, really techy, mega techy.
And an interesting world.
It's so cool, honestly. The things Mitch used to get these calls and be like, Gabs, you won't believe what our guys had just created. And I'm like, it's absolute mental. But Mitch was because he was the main recruiter in the business, he was so embedded with the advancements of technology, the good it could do. He was he always had this compass of being like, I know that I could put an engineer in this place that can do good. He might go and do something bad in a minute, but that was never his priority. We always picked clients that were doing something for good. Help them get the candidates in to help them achieve that growth and potential. And we had clients all around the world that we used to support, but they all, again, heard our story, respected the journey, and went, if you want to come back, raise your hand and we'll take you.
And you would have said about the name Tooled Up Raccoons. So what's the story behind that?
Oh, this is a fun one. Okay, so when Mitch and I were looking at naming the business, it was at that time on LinkedIn where everyone's like, what's the most stupid interview you've ever been asked? Okay, and of course it is the usual, what animal best represents you, right? So Mitch being Mitch was like, a lion, a tiger, rah, rah, rah. And I was like, okay, shush.
Lazy.
And I was like, what about a raccoon? I don't even know why it sprung to my head. I was like, they rummage through rubbish all day. Nobody really likes them, but they do have a functional purpose. And then the thing is, when you started researching more about raccoons, do you know the black mask they have?
Yeah.
Actually to reduce the glare of light when they hunt at night. So it's just this image of a raccoon, like a recruiter sitting at a laptop or a computer, like beavering away.
Nice.
Exactly like that, Chris.
Yeah.
And actually there was like 20 different characteristics that fell. So we're like, okay, let's hunker in with raccoons. And then we're like, what are we doing for them? And Mitch was like, well, we're going to give them tools. So we'll tool them up. My version of where tooled bit came from is slightly different. So remember, I didn't used to be in recruitment. Every recruiter who had passed my path or gone past me, whatever way I want to word that, I thought was an absolute tool. So you can pick whether you want the
let's basically go, oh my God, these are tools. These are tools.
Raise on your code.
Yeah.
But it just stuck, and actually the name as well gave us, if we actually focused on the fact we were giving people tools to be better, the fact it's raccoons, it's plural, we actually have branded raccoons that are associated with each element of the product, and it actually means as we grow and evolve our solution, we'll have different raccoons that solve different problems for different people, and you can kind of pick and mix your raccoon bundle. So
it's good.
What?
I like it. It stands out. That for me. Yeah. So when you see an email from you, Gabi, I mean, you know it's coming from you. It stands out straight away, and it piques your interest, and you're a little bit curious as well. So yeah, plays to who you are as well.
You made the raccoon purple though.
Oh, I have got raccoon purple. My raccoon is purple. That sounds weird in a sentence. My raccoon is purple, and I have what's it? Booze in pink.
Specifically your raccoon, or is that the company?
Company logo raccoon is in purple, right. Multi-dimensional kind of geometric purple. I mean, that logo has gone through about 4 iterations. Let's enjoy the startup journey, shall we? Yeah. You look back at your first logo and you're like, plaid. What were you thinking? Like, oh no. But yeah, we do actually have 2 characters at the minute. So we have Boo and Ray.
Nice. Do you want to explain to listeners as well what is Tooled Up Raccoons?
I actually do for a living. Yeah. So what we do is we actually help businesses build the most comprehensive search when it comes to finding candidates. So that's using artificial intelligence to complete research in terms of alternative job titles, keywords, etc. So we do that in seconds rather than hours, days, weeks, however long it takes you to research. Bear in mind, you guys are busy people outside of just researching. And then it converts it into a Boolean string automatically, which you can then edit and tweak, and then you can execute it across any platform, including translating it into up to 103 different language, including feminine and masculine of them. So it's really about helping you identify the best talent quickly by really stretching outside the words that are provided to you on the job description, because let's be honest, that's where your candidates are living. They aren't job description words from hiring managers. They're people with unique personalities, with unique ways of describing themselves. And if you're not leaning into that, you're missing talent, and that's never acceptable.
Do you want to talk about why do you need it then? So if someone's not using it now,
Yep.
how are they working compared to a tooled up raccoon
Yep.
using it?
So the clients we brought on, there's a particular guy we took on, and he was like, Gabs, you know what? I have spent weeks building this string, doing this research, building this Boolean string. And he's an ultimate geek, by the way. And he was like, I still can't find the right people. I was like, come with me. Let's build it. The second person down on the first page, within a minute, was the person he wanted. And he looked at me and was like,
Hell.
point. And this is the thing. I think a lot of people hear the word Boolean and go, it's not for me. Don't know how to do it. Blah, 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 blah. That's the point. We don't expect you to do it. We do the research, we build it, and we go. But the other most important bit to remember is there's a recent stat out there that 60% of candidates are undiscoverable on LinkedIn right now.
Wow.
And that's LinkedIn alone. I mean, I do not dispute the fact that that probably stretches across job boards, across social media platforms. And the reason they are undiscoverable by filters is if anyone goes on their LinkedIn profile right now, or even a job board, right? Create yourself a fake profile, press edit to update your information. When it comes to inputting your job title, your companies, your key skills, etc., 9 times out of 10, it's free text format. I was the queen of Boolean Raccoon at one point. I mean, it was brilliant because I didn't get a single bloody sales email in the entire world because no one found me. But it's in that moment when you step back and think about these profiles and the way people are creating them, they are writing whatever they want. How on earth is any platform under the sun, even your own CRM, right? When you input a CV into a CRM, how is it going to match the uniqueness of a candidate to a filterable option if that filter doesn't, how is that mapping? It doesn't happen. And that is why candidates are being missed and not found, and why our solution is literally a no-brainer for businesses if you truly care about not wasting your time going to the 5th or 6th or 7th or 8th page and going, this is all rubbish, what are we doing here?
Okay.
Why can't I find what I want?
I wish I'd met you 9 to 10 years ago.
We've met me now, Chris, you're fine.
I was banging on about this in the systems. Like, someone makes a spelling mistake in our, what was awful, I can't even remember what it was called.
Don't admit it.
Recruitment agency. I mean, at one agency I was at, won't name names, they built their own system, and oh my God, it was awful. And when I went to look at my own, and we started using Boolean, Boolean, we were first on Bullhorn, my bad. Like really early move days, like we have, the couple of iterations, I won't go into that now, but like 10 years ago when I first started out, the system we used was fixed state. I controlled what they were in the system, so I could recall everybody, no matter their title and their CV or whatever the scraper put in. But that is hard work. It's really, really hard
to maintain that. It's really difficult.
Now, even with a lot of the data where people are scraping data and shoving it in and whatever, right? And I'm not a massive believer in scraping data, largely because as soon as it scrapes, it's dead. All it takes is that wandering candidate. So let's say you scrape the data at midday, right? Scrapes it at midday, 1 minute past midday, someone gets made redundant. They go onto LinkedIn, update their profile. You've missed them. You have no idea it's happened. How is that?
Is he reading my mind?
I know.
Weird. Like, I genuinely have, honestly, I hope my business partners will watch this deeply. They'll go like, I'm bang on about that human element. And also the LinkedIn is a live database that's updated by the user at all times, and you're never going to be able to replicate the quality of the data that you get.
This is the problem. People want to cut corners. They want to cut corners, but in cutting the corners, so for example, when I talk to people about using Boolean, right, you see them like deer in headlights being like, I can't do it. And then you have the other extreme who are like mega geeks and they live and die it. They are a very small bubble of people, okay? But ultimately, if you're trying to cut corners by just going, I'll just filter it, it'll be fine. That's not okay. That is not okay. You're not even close to scraping the surface on the people you want to see. And then you're like, no, I don't want to pay for LinkedIn. I don't want to pay for this job board, that job board, whatever it may be, right? And you sit there going, my CRM's Greg's data for me. So, all right, cool. I've got no interest in working with you because you are comfortable being behind the curve and not getting the best talent. That's what you're telling me. I want you to go, actually, do you know what? My CRM is just a repository of
like notes. Yeah.
Gabi, what's the message to TA leaders then? So you got those people, you got the recruiters and the sources who's saying that information. What's the message to them then? Say again?
To the big grown-ups.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to mean like that, yeah. But what's the message to the TA leaders, kind of for them to sort of filter down to think about it, about, why they should be thinking about, using Boolean?
Because you spend a fortune on agencies. And I could probably ask every single person this question. Have you ever had an agency send you a CV of someone on a platform you had paid access to? You paid
paid access to.
Yeah.
Every damn day.
Yeah, all the time.
So what does that say to you? You're giving them 25%, 30%, whatever percentage you've negotiated with your agency, plus you're paying for a platform. But the one thing you haven't done is actually empowered your team to be able to hunt through it effectively. That's on you. Because I know businesses who are like, I gave them LinkedIn Recruiter, or I gave them this job board or that job board. And I'm like, well, what do you want? Gold medals for spending money? You have to empower them and actually give them the tools to search through a large data set. And let's be honest, your teams, with the amount of jobs that come flying at them from every single department, right? One of the biggest things I always hear from TAs is, I'm not a specialist in that role. That's why I can't find anyone. Our technology is agnostic of industry, agnostic of sector. So again, if you got a job in from
As is the process. If you've got a great sourcing process, it doesn't matter the skill. What you're literally saying to me is you can't be bothered to use the same system that you use for engineering for salespeople.
Exactly.
I don't get it. I don't get the argument for it anymore. It's same as exec search to me. I feel a little bit like, I don't really get it. I don't really
think
understand.
it's a bit of fear though, right? Because if we go back to the problem, right, in TA, you, like I said, you have a hiring manager who walks up to you and goes, I need 20 of them, right? And by the way, while you're there, I also need 5 of these, 4 of these, 2 of these, and 1 of those. Just while you're there, right? So you're already under huge time constraints to pick up a role that you have no experience in and try and do the research to understand it and build the a confident search where you feel like you can turn around and go, that's your true talent pool, takes time. And when you look at a TA person, they go, I don't have the time. And that's why with the way we've built it and created it, it is about you taking the role and going, do you know what? Okay, cool. Let me build this search. And actually the research I've got and the Boolean string I've got, I will then go to the hiring manager and sit down and go, can I just qualify something with you? These are the research words. These are the job titles. These are the alternative words. Are they spot on or is there something missing? And I think it's in that discussion, all of a sudden you go from knowing nothing to actually having a bit of a foundation to have an articulate conversation with someone that isn't just, oh, can you just copy the job description that we used 20 years ago? This is now 2 people, one not necessarily having as much knowledge as the other, but being able to step up and ask smart questions because they've got the power to do it and then go and execute the search at the back of it. And if that can take you minutes to create, you're just going to speed up that entire process and move through it.
And that's what you guys are doing, right? So one of the things we do, let me case study it a little bit just to make sure it's super clear on what it is. And by the way, I clicked on pricing while you were doing that.
I was like, I'm buying 6.
I was like, I need this.
I will see you in my inbox later.
during intake, one of the things we tried to get out in all the systems, we have started using AI for it, but like we've historically used forget what they're called now in Excel.
Spreadsheet?
Yeah, the spreadsheet.
Formulas.
Spreadsheet, not the formula, the other thing you can do. Sugar. Pivot table.
Yeah.
Words. How many times is this word used?
Yeah.
Then identify, call the most common terms in 100 profiles is this particular one. To do that, right? Like that's the plan to do, if you want to be pure, right? you want to be without a tool, you want to get those keywords out. You want to look at like how else do you do it? In intake, of course, we're making sure we're unpacking key terms and we're asking them like what are the searchable things that aren't in the job description and stuff like that. But what your tool is doing, the only thing I was
going to say, the problem with that is when you ask a hiring manager to dig a bit deeper, there's this problem that they don't know what they don't know, or they don't know what you don't know.
We ask incumbents as well. We ask the incumbent. Yeah, I've tried. God, how many times I've been in that meeting and saying, "Hey, so you're using this tool," and then you're asking, the team member. They go, "Oh, we haven't used that for 2 years," and I'm like, "I've just spent 3 weeks on that tool."
Yeah.
Looking for people that as a keyword, and now I know you don't use it. What a waste of time. So we try to make sure that's all signed off on before we go to market. But what your tool is doing is I'm pumping like some core criteria that I have, or is it the job description?
You can literally, you put in the job title, the industry, the core function. So, the core function, people look at me and go, why do I want the core function? Because sometimes the job title is not the same as the core function because we like sexy job titles, right? We like being a bit of a pain in the ass. And then you put in a couple of critical requirements.
Core function is HR.
So if you're a project manager, it's project management. Right. If you're an accountant, it's accounting.
So it's clear. So and then what you guys are going to do is look at all the variables in all of those core pillars. Yeah. Build a huge Boolean string to make sure that the search that comes up in whatever system I'm using, I'm assuming it's meant to link in.
So the really key bit is with those 3 pieces of information. So when you look at other Boolean builders out there, because that's what we get associated with, although we're like further, there are others, but not like us.
I don't know. I don't know about anyone else.
There's nothing like a raccoon, right? But what's interesting is when you put it into a builder, actually on the presentation I sent you, Darren, there was a slide that had 5 other alternative Boolean builders that are on the market. And you literally put the job title in, keywords and industry, and it basically vomits it back in a Boolean string. And I'm like, I could have put it in brackets and quotation marks. I don't need that. What ours does, and this is what's really interesting, is it actually looks at the job title to the industry, industry to core function, industry across all of them. Because at the end of the day, you could put an acronym in one of the keyword sections. And you can see it when I do demos, people are a bit like, but that's an acronym. How will it know? And it's like, because you've given it a pinpoint of this is the industry and this is the role, therefore this is what this relates to.
Right.
And I know you mentioned earlier like this idea of like AI, and we absolutely use AI. We have a private database as well that we've curated. So we kind of use multi elements to enrich your searches. But what's really interesting with AI is just how tediously long it is to make it do something. So with the level of variations that ours pumps out in seconds, someone's like, I can do this on ChatGPT. And I'm like, come here, babes. That's about 150 prompts before you even get going off the finish line. And she's like, I can train it. I'm like, look, I'm not even having this debate. But I actually took that string I sent you guys and I put it in ChatGPT. And the output was slightly better than some of the other builders, but it was nowhere near.
That's because I don't think ChatGPT's got a skills taxonomy behind the scenes or job title taxonomy, which is what you're building a tool. Which you've got that. I mean, where I see it is where we're doing at the moment is very much surface level, and what you're doing is you're doing depth. You're going into the sort of it's kind of like into the
shape.
I'm going to help you find the undiscovered.
Yeah.
No, that's not 45 minutes. Did you just time me?
Sorry. T-shape. I was going to T-shape search, both deep and wide. Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'm with you. I was like, why are you timing?
I have one more question about Boolean. Someone had mentioned that Boolean is dead. I won't names. What's your view on that? When do you hear that?
Do you know what? It's funny. A couple of years ago when we launched the business, everyone was like, Boolean's dead. Everyone will X-ray, blah, 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 right? That's the vibe in the market. That was the vibe until LinkedIn went, no more X-ray. But what's really interesting is when Boolean was first created, it was very futuristic in its concepts and why you would do it. And everyone kind of felt like, well, you didn't really need it because we go back to the earlier part of this conversation. When you used to create profiles online, it was all a drop down. You were like, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. Everyone neatly fitted into these little parcels with ribbons around.
It's actually better for us.
It is as recruiters, but then it's not, because then you have people squeezing themselves into titles that's not what they do for a living anymore. Because if you look at how fast technology is advancing, like the AI people that we've got creating codes and doing all these fun things, all of a sudden we've got a whole market flooded with new positions that didn't exist before. So you're kind of the
pace to rebuild the database.
Can't keep up.
Single time.
Yeah.
Which is why my original, like, we're not getting this right. Like, he's called an engineer, he's called a developer. Have I got right engineer and developer in every single time? This is done. Put it under tech. Put it under tech. All the titles that are for tech in that inside of the thing. But I agree with you. It's like, second someone becomes a UX designer, maybe from a tech background, where I put them.
But that is why Boolean will and forever stay. Like, if we think right now, LinkedIn alone has got 1 billion users on it. 1 billion users. There's a new user every 3 seconds on it. Job boards have between 12 and 21 million people in there. 14 minutes. I'm counting.
Counting new users. Counting new users. I was counting
I was like,
new user.
Crazy. He's like, Gabs, time.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the first time he's ever put the timer out.
I bet he knows me too well, right? It's with those huge data sets across any platform, whether it's your CRM, your job boards, your social media platforms, whatever, like Twitter. I can go into advanced Twitter and put in a Boolean string. So actually, Boolean will never be dead. While we still have this huge volume through them, it will still be the only way to accurately hunt through data to see true talent pool. And I truly believe, and I've joked with you about this, Darren, that actually if someone refuses to use Boolean, they should be sacked in their position if they are sourcing talent, because they're quite openly admitting to you they're quite happy not finding the best talent, they're happy just finding the first talent. And that's not what we're in the business for. We're in the business to get the best people into the best position and being inclusive in our hunts. Like if we all only pick the first 5 people that you've seen on a search because that's all you can be bothered to do, what are we doing? There are people on this platform that are exceptional, that deserve the opportunity, but you can't be bothered to overcome the challenges in the tech by taking this one extra step. And I'm not talking old school writing Boolean. I'm empowering you to do it in seconds. So that's why I stand so strong on it, because there is no other way of getting through that data set without using Boolean. You just can't do it.
I think the misconception, with that comment, Darren, is that I think X-ray is dead. I think I think what people are getting at with that. I don't think they think Boolean's dead. I do think, like, often I found as a sourcer, and I consider myself to be a good one, or I was. I'm maybe a bit out of touch now, but I certainly was. I'm in sales now, so I still source leads using search. And search is really important to identify really good profiles. Otherwise, you're just literally looking through every single profile trying to find a good fit. So I think I'm still using stuff I learned from those days. I think when people talk like that, I think they see like, and also what frustrates me about leading some of the teams in it is, like you find an SDR at X org, and then they go to the next profile. No one's writing down that org hires SDRs, but for some reason I'm only seeing one person in the search from that org. I find things like that super frustrating. Is that, hey, by the way, that one person said they used that tool, but 7 others didn't write it in their profile. You've missed something.
But it's what else did they write? Because that's one of the things when I talk about execution of the searches that we create. So we've got a thing called combinations. So you can take out different parts of your bracketed Boolean strings and be like, I'm going to run the job title with keywords. I'm going to run these 3 word combinations or this 1 word or whatever you want. But one of the other features we added in was this ability to highlight and update your Boolean string on the go. So exactly that scenario when you're going on a search.
At a company.
You can add companies. I've got a company field, so you can literally, like I do, obviously for business development for Tooled Up Raccoons, it's 100% Boolean driven. Like even if I'm using Dripify, for example, which I do, I will create Boolean strings within Sales Navigator, within Recruiter. I will then put them into Dripify. My targeting is so precise. And actually I did what I call a reverse search. So what I would do is I took all the titles I had and put it as a not in the job title. And I actually saw what else fell out that I had missed. And then I highlighted it, added that in, and then ran another search. And it's only in those moments where you become more, I call it a data-centric search, right? I'm not asking you to go anywhere. I'm not asking you to go above and beyond. But what I'm asking you is, if you see a profile of a candidate you don't like, why don't you like them? There's something they've written, add it into your Boolean string, make it smart to remove anyone else. So exclude it. If you find someone you love and you're like, oh, they've used that acronym, I haven't got that acronym, add it in. And don't be scared of your Boolean string suddenly being like, I don't know, showing you like 1,000 people. There's this fear of seeing more. But for me, I always focus on the fact that see the true talent pool and then whittle it down by, I don't know, years experience, whatever you want. But at least get to the true people you want to play with. because I had an interesting
Also
discussion.
great pre-attacking a talent pool as well to know its size, right? You can then
Exactly.
start planning. Like, we know we get a 30% response rate. You got 1,000, that's 300 people. Do we need that many?
Well, I
Let's
had
make it
one
more.
client. I had one client the other day. He was like, had the most horrific job title. Like, it didn't make any sense. No one had ever seen this job title. We searched it and there was nothing. And he was like, I found like 20 people. He randomly using our tool. I was like, look, let's just take it and run it, because I love those challenging searches. He found 240 people and messaged them, and 70 of them responded in the first 24 hours interested in the role. So we talk about
They couldn't be found.
Really good.
Because they couldn't be found for anything else, right? For the same title search, like because only, like you say, everyone's only skimming the surface.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're going to hit the same people. But what you find is a lot of people go, do you know what? Nobody will talk to me. And it's like, if you ever considered that you're sending the message to the wrong person, right? Like if you sent me a message, Darren, and then sent the same message to Chris, it would land differently. But when you create very targeted searches, what's going to happen? They're going to talk to you because actually what you're writing resonates with them. And if they've never been found before, oh my gosh, are they going to want to book?
You can, with the power of instantly being we're getting into prospecting now, of course, but like when you're prospecting, I see them the same, sourcing and prospecting.
Absolutely.
Well, pretty much the same. You can put personalized by a bucket. Hey, people from Ericsson, Darren, are really great for this role because XYZ, there's 200 of you there. There you go. That was easy. I've now been able to personalize with some scale in it, because we're only there. I think that I read somebody the other day, it might have been Robin Choi, but he's probably going to chew me out for saying that because it wasn't him. There are only 3 things that recruiters can personalize on. You work at the same industry, you work in the same industry, you work at the same company type, SaaS, service, whatever, and you work in the role. Yeah. Really? That's personalization in recruiting. There are 3 core things we can do it on. If you can get all 3, excellent. The idea is diminishing returns for anything less than 2. If you can get all 3 in a talent pool, you can pretty much guarantee you're going to get interviews. If they've got the same role, the same org, in the same industry, you're getting interviews. It's so for personalization by bucket and Boolean at speed, the power of that is insane.
Mental. And that's what we do. Like yesterday, we've done a bit of a retarget on a group that we haven't targeted before, so we're kind of going after them. And yesterday I had my Dripify up, I had my Tooled Up Raccoons up, and I had Sales Navigator up. I created really quick Boolean strings within half an hour. I had all my target audience, I had everyone in. I think I got about 25,000 people in different buckets into my Dripify because my Boolean search was like done. I caught the market. I wanted to, and I was done. I didn't have to faff be like, do you know when people look at those stats of engagement, they're like, oh, I only got a 20% engagement rate. It's like, yeah, but what was the other 80%? Like, what were those people who were those people you sent it to? And I think there's something wrong, fundamentally wrong in a lot of businesses that go, you have to message X number of people. What if X number of people is just I actually know someone in TA, unfortunately, who was just like, the number is the number, I have to hit it. And he just randomly spammed.
Terrible.
But he was forced to by
KPIs. Yeah.
It's in his, it's trickled down, isn't it? It's trickled down to be forced.
It is the point. At the end of the day, everyone is very time scarce. Everyone wants to go and find the best candidates, or I hope they do if they're in the land of recruitment in any capacity, whether you're in-house, agency, I don't care. But if you are in a role of finding candidates, you have a passion to find the best. What we're talking about here is actually relieving that capacity and going, look, we'll do it in seconds, we'll make it accurate, get in, get out, and get the job done. And
also spend, if you are in the world of it, you're now not spending 3 hours building Boolean and testing and changing different searches and building different talents. Actually, you can spend more time on the profile, writing a great message, recording a cool video, something that might get them to convert, dropping them a connect with some personalization, rather than just going, I'm so fatigued at the research part, I'm now just going to ping everybody.
Exactly. And they get fatigued at research and they get fatigued at building. And the interesting thing, and one of the things we added that actually took us ages to perfect, was we've actually got the Grammarly version of Boolean. So actually, once we've built your string for you, if you wanted to add bits and pieces into it, or whatever you wanted to do with it, it actually has this ability where if you write an operator in lowercase, it automatically capitalizes. It won't let you copy a string if it's missing a bracket. So actually, for those people who aren't the most confident in writing,
or competent,
competent and just miss it. I mean, honestly, that design actually came because I was on a discovery call when we first launched the tech, and this string just wouldn't run. And I think it was on like Total Jobs or something. And I was like, it's saying there's an error. Like, what am I doing? And I have what I call Boolean blindness, where you're so convinced it's right. I remember looking at it, and it was on a demo, and I looked at my come here, and they went, you've missed a quotation mark. And in that moment, Mitch and I went, I wonder how many other people have done it, and it's screwed up their entire search. And then they've got scared of it and then reversed back to filters. And that's what we're trying to do. Like, those people who are scared of it or just want to try it but don't have the time to, everyone should be playing. Everyone should be playing in the sandpit.
What is the future with X-ray search? I mean, everyone's saying that they've come up with new ideas and new ways of doing it.
I think, again, like, people keep coming up with new ways of solving problems. That's what the world is designed around, right? We see a problem, we fix it. I think LinkedIn is going to continue shutting people out from using X-ray because it wants you in platform. I'm very much a firm believer that if you're paying for a LinkedIn plan, get into the platform and use it, because X-ray has a limited character or word limits. Like, if you're on a recruiter license, it's 2,000 characters on job title, 4,000 in a company field, and 4,000 in keywords. I mean, by the time you finished X-raying and build 200 versions of it, I've executed one and I've moved on with my day. So pick your lane you want to battle. I do still think, I think there's a lot of focus about X-ray being dead, predominantly around the LinkedIn discussion. If we actually step away from LinkedIn and actually look at platforms where, I don't know, like, I was registered as part of the FCA when I was at JP Morgan, I got my qualifications. That's a public registry. Anyone searching financial services, investment banking, they can X-ray into that platform, because actually, if you actually physically go into it, the filtering is horrific and you can't Boolean within it. So X-ray actually is still a solution. So I think it's knowing your industry, knowing your sector, knowing the places on the internet where your people hang out, but not cutting your nose off despite your face. If you are paying for a platform, get in it, roll your sleeves up and get hunting. If you need to X-ray, then lean into it. But X-ray wouldn't be my first choice if I'm paying for a platform.
Agreed. Utilize it to its capacity before, and then look externally. I've always found the Stack Overflow and GitHub sourcing thing strange. It's like, I don't think I've ever found anyone on those two. That's not true, actually, but I don't think I've ever found anyone that isn't on LinkedIn that wants to be messaged.
I think what's interesting, though, but it is a point, right? If you think about it, you have people's concern with platforms like LinkedIn is they're very light sometimes. Profiles can be very naked. Sometimes they can be very full. You can definitely tell someone who's hired someone to write their profile because it doesn't sound like them at all when you look at their social post to their actual profile, which really annoys me. Just as a side business, that frustrates me. But what's interesting is on LinkedIn right now, if someone applies for a job, their resumes are obviously stored if they apply for a job via LinkedIn. When you pay for things like LinkedIn Recruiter, you can actually, if you remove quotation marks around single words in the keyword section, you can see the words they've put on their resume. So in this
the other day, because it's also a thing they say to do for sales people as well, right? To get found more. If anyone's using Boolean to search for a service provider in LinkedIn, to get a CV onto, I don't know, Darren, if you know about this, you can actually just build a CV in LinkedIn already, and with all
hides behind.
Yeah.
But only people with light and full can see it. So they can see it in the skills section. Anyone in there, anyone underneath that,
I pay some more.
Up, and they'll see a profile, but they won't understand why the profiles appeared because there's data sets.
Interesting. Didn't know that part.
But this is what we spend a lot of time talking to our clients about. So Mitch and I are constantly on different platforms, testing them out, pushing their boundaries. How far can I hunt? What's your limitations? Because I think with all the technology, right, every job board, every CRM, every ATS, everything you buy will always have a limitation. But it's knowing the limitation and knowing how to maneuver it. And that's what Mitch and I spend our lives doing to make our tech better, to help people search better. And that's what we geek out on hugely.
I mean, you had a post to go viral, didn't you? And it blew up. It was in Recruiting Brainfood as well. It was great, and it was really well done as well. The video that you had where you went through actually your LinkedIn.
You're having a bit of a rant at LinkedIn doing something.
And I'd like to hear about what that post was, and then what's happened because of that, because there's been some really interesting things.
There's been some cool changes. So what happened on LinkedIn is they're obviously trying to prepare themselves for their AI launch in the summer, right? They're now all that time went. Can I finish?
We did, but we'll take your final answer.
We can finish.
We're good.
Go for it. Start again.
So So what happened is I went onto LinkedIn Recruiter, and they are preparing themselves for their big AI launch in the summer, which actually I just think is going to overcomplicate a filter. That's my opinion on it. What actually happened is when I went to go and post a Boolean straight into the job title and the company field, they had this new concept of can have, must have, doesn't have. So basically people could just break it down into those sections. But one of the critical things that actually missed is actually underneath, there used to be those dots that said current, past, they'd vanished. And the only way I could get them back is if I used Boolean, if I used a filter. And obviously, as you can imagine, with my passion around actually everyone deserves to be found, I went, absolutely not, sit down. And I made this video, put it out to the world being like, is anyone else seeing this? What's going on? And actually one of their senior project managers who looks after I think it's Sales Navigator, Recruiter Lite and Full, came back and was like, that was a bug. We didn't actually know it'd been released. You guys found it. And it actually, within 24 hours, they fixed it. So now I can actually put Boolean in and press the 3 dots and the option. It's still too many clicks for my liking, but I'll take it as a micro win as far as I'm concerned.
That's cool that, though, first of all, it's cool that thank you, LinkedIn, for spotting that.
Absolutely.
And wicked that you called it out, and even better that you guys are now talking to them, because for me, that makes the system, that's going to make the system better for all of us.
And that's the conversation I'm having with them. So they've invited me to see the work they're doing. They're very adamant Boolean will remain in their platform. They are, at the end of the day, they're like, look, we have to adjust the platform to the lowest common denominator. So people who don't Boolean, I don't think what they're doing is going to address the challenges that we've discussed today, but they are trying.
Do you have a sneak peek of like what the AI functionality is going to be in LinkedIn?
So the session I've got with him is actually next week. Yeah. So I will know more then. But from what I've seen of the videos they've released, it's going to be more conversational. So for example, where the job title section, it would be like, I'm looking for a software engineer. For me, that's basically my short person.
I don't need to write I'm looking for,
No, it's just like software engineer. And then it's like, then what's going to happen is it almost like pulls back. So do you know when you write in the filter section right now, and it has that little burger figure that kind of goes, here's 42 alternatives. But basically, it's just that.
Don't give them too much, by the way. I mean, please don't, because I get this feeling that they don't want us eventually. They want to say to every business in the world, you don't need a recruiter anymore. You can do it on LinkedIn. There's a billion people here. We know the source. We're just going to pump in, I need a React engineer.
The only way that will ever happen truly is if they ever get a grip on their data. And again, what you've got to remember, they will always allow us in. They will always want us there because we are their biggest.
We're the biggest customer.
Well,
yeah.
Hang on. Think about it though. If you're able to say never use a recruiter again, recruit only with LinkedIn, they take the multi-billion-dollar industry of recruiting. So I'm super cautious of like, I want to make sure our business doesn't double down too much on just LinkedIn stuff. We want to make sure that there are some people in the talent pool that you couldn't get because you can get on LinkedIn. I say this all the time, man. Like a recruitment agency often is just doing something your sales team could already do in minutes.
Absolutely, and that's the scary reality, right? That's a really scary reality of what's going on. I don't think LinkedIn will ever wipe out the recruitment agency market. I don't think they'll ever achieve it. I think they're trying to be so many things to so many different people. Like, yes, okay, we're talking about the recruitment side of things and hiring and firing and finding talent, but that's just a small bubble of the people they make tons of money at. So actually, every move they make, even on Recruiter, and I watch the moves they're making, I'm like, this isn't getting smarter. I feel like it's actually getting dumber. But the concerning thing is there's still a lot of people out there who's like, oh, okay, cool, it's a filter. That will do. Or
making it more accessible.
It says AI in the front of it. Yeah. Oh, that must be cool.
That's my point. I think that's my point. Make it too accessible. It becomes anyone can do it. And that is not that for anyways, like
honestly, I think the people who step up, like we discussed this entire session, the people who step up to Boolean in an effective and efficient way and go hunting effectively through that data will live forever. Yeah. Anyone who continues to rely on filters, the unfortunate thing is we're going to have a wave of people who get smart, and hopefully off the back of this video, a lot more people will get smart about what the underlying challenges are, what impact it's having on their business, and actually how they can address that challenge to get to the best talent. Those people who wake up and take action will be the people who prosper and survive, agnostic of what a job board does, a social media platform. They will live on. Those who go, I'm just going to go back to my filters tomorrow, despite listening to this conversation, unfortunately won't be here because the data's getting too big. You
Well,
can't.
and also, let's not. I mean, in the intro to this show, we talked about what is sourcing, and it was, I think, a key point of that was it isn't just Boolean. Boolean's a part of identify research. It's a mitigating time to research, right? You've still got to message those people. The message has still got to be cracking. When they get in the process, they've still got to be treated really nicely, and the interviews have got to be 2 ways. And there's loads of other things you've got to do to be great at recruiting. It's not just, I need a software engineer that uses React.
You want the capacity to do the human bit, because I think right now everyone feels so time scarce on every element that they're trying to cut corners down here, and you're like, stop cutting corners down here. Clean this bit up, relieve the capacity on your team and your individuals who are trying to give you the best talent rather than shoving through 50 people just for the sake of it to hit the numbers. Get this bit clean. Give your team back the capacity to have a human conversation, to write a human message, to do the qualification calls and all this great stuff. But if you don't give them capacity up front, the whole thing's just going to fall over.
I love that way of framing it, because you're not saying let AI do it all. No. You're saying let AI or let systems and processes do the bit that means it, like Copilot vibes. I think that's been the common theme with AI. Let it do that stuff so that you can go and do the thing that you cannot replace with a computer.
That's all it is.
Darren, do you have any more questions, or can we move on to our final set? Wonderful. It's a shame. I hate being the custodian of time for this week's show, because I think I could do this forever.
We'd be here for hours otherwise.
Not just also the content's excellent, but also energy is unreal. You're bringing a game to this. So we have asked every person that's come on, what are they seeing outside of their own, your tool set, you guys? What other tools have really impressed you in the market space?
Well, ones we use and I love.
Okay.
Ones we use and I love Veed at the minute. Veed.io. I absolutely love them. So
what does it do?
And
video creation, editing, etc. Like, I speak at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I am very excitable, a little Duracell bunny here. And one of the things I've really struggled with when I was sending messages to people is, at one point I wasn't captioning it. And that was really naive of me, because we've got Frame Store as one of our clients, and one of the girls who works there was like, Gabs, I have challenges my hearing. Could you subtitle? And every platform I tried to put captions on just could not. I spent hours kind of re-editing it, being like, no, that's not what I said. Veed has really stepped up its game. It's so easy to film on. Like the video I did that went viral.
Loom, a bit like Loom.
It's better than Loom, you're saying?
A dual version of
Loom.
Okay, noted. I use Loom, so I'm going to check this out. Yeah.
I look for something that's as effective. And this is the thing I think you have to remember sometimes in the world of recruitment. If very often we will type in recruitment, video editing, or recruitment, blah, 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 blah. It's a bit like weddings. As soon as you put the word wedding at the beginning, it triples to quadruples in price. Yep. So what we do is we spend a lot of time looking outside our immediate market and going, what adds up to 100? And Veed for me, absolutely.
I go straight to sales whenever I'm in this. I look at, like, we've tested Gong, we've tested Lemlist, we've tested Smart Lead.
We tried Lemlist, their new UI, really. I tried Lemlist a couple of months ago, and they had a UI change, and honestly, I walked in and I was so visually overwhelmed, I cancelled.
I've not recently used Lemlist. We used it about maybe a year ago, and it was with all the emojis and I agree. It was like, but I like the Lempire and I like the learning, and they talk a lot about good prospecting. I've learned a lot about that world, first of all for sales, but also for recruiting. I've deployed a lot of that backwards. I'm gonna check out Veed. It looks cool. I'm on the website here. It looks wicked.
Veed's one we love. Do you know what? We're probably one of the only recruiters still holding strong to Zoho. I love Zoho.
The CRM part, or?
So I use every part of Zoho. So actually, as a SaaS company. So interestingly, we had Zoho when we owned a recruitment business. When we paused it, we were like, actually, we can shuffle this over to do what we want to do. And what amazes me is how many apps they have that actually you can just stitch it together. Caveated massively by the fact my husband is a massive tech head. He is our head of product. So actually he talks to our developers and he's like, can you get this data to feed from here and to here and here? So actually, for I think 30 quid a month, plus obviously a little bit of integration, we have a fully functioning platform that does all automated messaging, does all our marketing outbound, manages payment plan, all this kind of stuff. So that for me is another piece of tech that I absolutely adore. And their customer success, when you message them, they come out.
I agree. We tried, because it's also really customizable, isn't it?
Yep.
It's like Monday.com or Airtable before they existed. These guys have been doing this for a long time. We made our own. When I got frustrated with the system, I went to Zoho. It wasn't Zoho Recruit at the time, but I went to Zoho and used that, and we built our own system that worked really well. Because also you could plug it into the back of your website, and people could log in and fill out forms and update their own profile.
We did it also when we had it from the recruitment side of the business, where we were handling kind of large volume recruitment for certain clients. We were like, here's a landing bit for you where you kind of see all the candidates, where they are in the process, etc.
Right.
You could do all of that stuff, and people are like, oh, I can't do it. I'm like, and even their analytics board, like I've got a dashboard obviously for where we are, our sales, quantities, all this kind of stuff. It was fully customizable. So when actually we talk about CRMs and the ability to make a dashboard, Zoho does it. Yes, you have to put a bit of skin in the game to get it there, like a little bit of skin, but it's 100% around you and what you want to do. So Veed, I love. Zoho, I love. Dripify, I've sadly joined that train.
So you use that for your prospecting work, for like automating all of the channels, or just LinkedIn?
No, I only use it for LinkedIn for us, predominantly because that's where our clientele seem to hang out. And like, we're a smallish business, right? I don't have capacity to be a master of every platform. So I choose to be a master in one, where actually I've got an audience that when I talk about certain stuff, I come to help. So we use Dripify primarily of that, but I've always been very reluctant to use it because I don't want to lose my LinkedIn account. But there is also that point where
is that the reason? Because you come across you don't love it, but is it more the case you kind of have to use it because it automates the messaging?
And I know, Chris, you might mentioned earlier about our pricing, right? Where our pricing is at we are a large volume business. That's what we are. I mean, I know every single one of the clients that signed on to Tech. I've met all of them. I've spoken to all of them because that's just my vibe as a co-founder. That's what I want our business to sustain and be about. But it is about volume because it's a tech company. So actually to hit that level of volume, if it was just me picking up the phone calling people, I'm my own roadblock in my own business. So I think sometimes you have to step back and go, what parts of my process, this comes back to my geek of being an operations geek from JP Morgan, what part of the process am I my own roadblock in? And I think a lot of businesses should do that more frequently, like once a quarter. Sit down, map out your process. Where's the roadblock? Am I a roadblock? If I am, what's a smart maneuver? And I think agnostic, if you're an agency or in-house, whatever it may be, processes change, people change, demands change. So we need to be just have a picture on the wall, like an A3 picture of like
just a whiteboard
process.
Yeah, just
and then just go, right, where's the pain? Put a cross. And if that pain keeps over the quarter, you know that's a pain point you need to resolve. If it just happens once, who cares?
Or like also not almost pain, sometimes pain. Like you might enjoy something, but there's over friction in it. It's really difficult. I mean, I use sales flow. I don't know if you've come across that before. Similar, right? I don't identify profiles, prospect those profiles, but like sometimes there's a few hundred people. I'm like, I want to work these guys. I need to ding a more connection message, I need to ding more connection message. Is a great place to do it, to get some stuff to just moving in there, so that I can go and invoice or whatever. The final question that we have, and I know we're at time. Sorry, Darren.
Darren, you have to do in a minute. I promise.
I got time. I got told time there.
I'm not.
I got told that. How the hell can people get in touch with you, Tooled Up Raccoons?
So you can come and find me on LinkedIn every day of the week. I am always on there. I'm always monitoring it. Alternatively, come on to the Tooled Up Raccoons website. I'm sure there'll be a link somewhere at the bottom of this.
There will be.
Come and click it. You can have a 15-minute discovery call with me, and I keep it 15 minutes because I think within the first few minutes we can determine whether it's go or die. I mean, you're okay. There was one client we booked 15 minutes in, and then she was like, I've got a really tough role. Could we just? And it converted into a demo. And then actually she bought it at the end. She was like, honestly, for 300 quid a year.
That's what a 15-minute course for, really.
I know. It's like, that is from a sales perspective, but there's so many people out there who do panic when it comes to looking at new tech like this. They're like, I hear what you're saying, but I don't want to do.
Or I don't get it. I'm not like the reason. I guess the most people that are coming to you need help, right?
Need help,
if you're really good with Boolean, you're probably not paying for it.
No. And that's the thing. So they can go on the website, they can book 15 minutes with me, and even more exciting, in 2 weeks' time. So what date are we on now? The 28th. I should put my glasses on to look at the date rather than squat down and look at my calendar, look at my head. We're actually launching a free trial of our product. So it's a 7-day free trial. You can invite your entire team onto it. You can go on, you can go and play, you can go see for yourself. Obviously, while you're on trial, you can come and call me and go, Gabs,
this ain't working.
You said this, like, how do I get the same thing? Because you've got to remember, what we've built is going to change your process. It's going to change your process forever. You'll never look back, but you have to embed it as part of your process. So LinkedIn, go on Tooled Up Raccoons website, book 15 minutes, grab a trial, literally just come and hunt me down. And guys, I'm happy for you to share my email address as well. If you want to message me directly, just drop me an email. I'm always around for it.
Wonderful. Brilliant. And also there's lots of opportunities to catch you speaking on podcasts. You're in Germany in a couple of weeks, I knew you were saying.
May, I'm losing track. So May, I'm in Germany.
May, you're in Germany. IHR.
IHR
where we're supporting you and every other contestant, of course.
No, just the raccoon. I'll have you in a purple raccoon outfit, Chris.
Yeah, we wish you all the best with that, and good luck. Hoping me and Darren are going to get our invites at some point. Guy, if you're listening, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Gabi.
No, thank you very much for having me. And honestly, Darren, go and have a wicked dinner. Chris, later you need to message me and explain about the book with the tattoo. I need to understand the story because it's gonna haunt me if I don't know.
Honestly, it's been so much fun. I'm sure we're going to have you back on again, and that is the plan, to bring on bring people back. Don't forget to let us know as well, Gabi, when you've got product updates, because we want to make sure we keep everyone up to date. That's it for this show, guys. Thanks so much for joining. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to reach out to Gabi. Don't forget to give us feedback on the show. Thanks so much. This is TA Tech Unboxed, signing off.